Actually, why do I start with this one? This is one of the power of self-advocacy. When we are talking about self-advocacy, many of the times people with disabilities are not involved. From the planning, the execution, and the evaluation. Here we see the 6th edition of the Connected African Girls Coding Camp, commended for inclusive participation. This came out as a result of people with disabilities participating in the coding camp. And for Economic Commission for Africa, it was the only conference where people with visual impairment, the totally blind, participated. And now this is all about what I'm presenting, that when we are trying to do the so-called self-advocacy, means let people with disability be involved in the activity that other people are involved. And why it was special, they did not require any new tool. If it is an Arduino program, they all use the same. If it is tools for Arduino program, they use the same. If it is a computer, they use the same. And later on, as you can see in this picture, also, you can just see, it is so inclusive. Just looking at the picture, you know for sure people who are blind were in that conference, because they were given award. All of them, they also won. 6 of them, they were given tablet computers, tablets for use. Now this is the power of self-advocacy that we are talking about, that I'm trying to talk about. Now, of course, generally, what is happening? People with disabilities suffer from exclusion. Exclusion from learning, exclusion from general environment working through, exclusion from employment, and sometimes there are a number of laws. You say, okay, this is our employment laws. You must complete Form 4. You must have a secondary education in order to get employment. We are not focusing on the skills. As a result, that totally denies employment. But at the same time, we have employment, and please, 10% of people with disabilities should be employed. But they don't go to secondary education because most of the education system is not accessible. Also, we can see we need to have self-advocacy. Why? When with self-advocacy, we're gonna fight the disempowerment promoted by the society. The other thing, why is that? I'm trying to look at the impairment and disability. Most of the time, we are focusing at the individual model and the social model. The individual model, self-advocacy will automatically fail because the focus goes along with impairment, inadequacy, and the deficiency that this person is suffering from, and therefore cannot do or what. But therefore, with the individual model, it's not parallel with the growth, determination, and the capacity. In the social model, we see self-advocacy raises an important issue. For example, we see now the Economic Commission for Africa says, okay, we commend for inclusive participation. That means, can we clap one, at least just one clap for this? Why? Just one clap. Why? These few who have participated there, they have changed Africa because now people with disabilities will be included. Why? Because it raises basic issues like freedom, fulfillment, and the self-determination that we can also do. We see this self-advocacy every time we have been talking, but also in schools we find. In schools, teacher, one of the researchers told us that in the schools, the common complaint about underachievers is that they won't do the work. They won't do the work. That is what we normally see. But the reality, they won't do the teacher's work. Why? Because that work is not accessible as the presentation or the assessment went through. If we look at this self-advocacy, we can see advocacy always focuses mainly in 4 things. Whatever it is, it can either be autonomy. We want it to be autonomous, and that, of course, we are doing a lot. That's why you can find disability policy, regulation, so much they are there. Sometimes they say, maybe profession they want to develop some. Sometimes we have coalition where people with disabilities and some other organization affiliates, like now we have the university and the ADD, today we are here. Clap one hand for that. That is very important. We are advocating together. And the most important one is the service-based. And this one is where providing services, including curriculum implementation. At what time do we have curriculum that are implemented so that people with disabilities can manage? One day I was asking my friend, we have people like Bill Gates. Everyone knows Bill Gates. But go to the internet, find what qualification does he have? After all, he is called the successful school dropout. What does that mean? And why is there? That means he had a curriculum that was fitting his needs. Clap one hand for that. That is very important. And we are not doing it. Of course. Now, self-advocacy, a lot have been talked about this, that have to be supported in many ways with their self-determination. And the self-determination does not come easily until you have made this person able to do something and say, I can do. I will give you one example. I had a consultant working with UNICEF in Dodoma, where they wanted to train people with visual impairment in ICT skills. And I was busy working somewhere. And then they asked me, is it possible that the training will start on Monday? I told them, even if tomorrow is possible. What I did in order to do the self-advocacy, I just asked my facilitators, who are all blind. Then I called them, they joined, they went. When they went there, I said, now we want to set the class? Yes, we want to set the class. Now you can see somebody is coming with the stick. He said, you want to set the class? How? And then, of course, the head of school gave permission. Then they said, I think first you have your system here, please remove it so that each computer we can install our assistive technology. Then they installed and the class went. I went the last day during the closing. Then I told them, were the learning successive? One clap, and these people, they did. That is what we are trying to talk about when we are saying about self-advocacy. Self-advocacy cannot come until you empower them. How do you empower? You have to have skills. And I remember the question of my friend, but you did not collect those answers. I had only one answer. The challenge for people with disabilities all over the world is about skills training. Be it ICT, be it waving, be it what, they don't have that opportunity. They do not have accessible training on those aspects. Once you train them, they can do. For example, everyone here in the room, if I ask you, have you ever seen a blind person repairing a PC, a computer? Raise up your hand. Have you ever seen? One. How many another? Two. But also that one is possible. And they have done it. And if the group will allow, I will share that video to see a blind person is repairing a regular computer. There's a technology we all know that enhances access to curriculum, increases, maintains, improves functional capabilities of the individual. That is very important. The assistive technology, we all know, and this I just took from International Telecommunication Union, that the internet has acted as a platform for collaboration. But the question is, how many people with disabilities can access that? Of course, we see these are some of the, these are some of agreement in Kuala Lumpur 2016, where they say the world is undergoing dramatic shift, technology is changing, but no one should be invincible and no one should be left behind. We always have, no one should be left behind, but no one should be invisible. Now we are calling for screening so that we know which type of disability one is facing and trying to do the necessary suggestions. Now we find, I think this one, if this will be shared, you can read it for yourself. We can see access for ICT for people with disabilities, especially for the deaf. I would urge you to visit that website, that small website I have put there. It is how we started ICT skills for the deaf. The question was, how will deaf learn ICT? The first thing you have to create is the sign, because when I was looking, there were no signs for how that I can use to train the deaf. That's why this one calls the link between disability and the research people and the research institutions. Why? Because disability will say, okay, we want to learn ICT. The teacher will say, I cannot teach, I don't know how to teach. But the researcher will come, how will I make this person learn? That is action research, though the action research also is not very much accepted. And in most, of course, they will say, now we want to publish what is the validity, what is the reliability. But the question, you have changed the life of people. Of course, we always believe on the reliability and not the other factors. You can see access for people with visual impairment, as we say, the first thing they have to learn the keyboard skills. And then they have to learn the listening skills, because they will use a screen reader. And the screen reader, they have to learn how to set up the screen reader, use the screen readers. And one innovation that I found is working very well is when a person with visual impairment, a totally blind, is teaching a totally blind. Even for the deaf, one thing that is very important, it is the deaf teaching the fellow deaf. And now I'm going to focus into other types of disabilities. I welcome my fellow researchers and the NGOs to see how we can make a person with autism teach a fellow person with autism. A person with any other type of disability participate, yes. Of course, why? Skills training, what does it do? Self-determination. You can see a blind person is repairing a computer, and there are ladies who participated in the 6th edition inclusive, now they are using tablet. You can see all of these are working because of this. But one important thing is networking, because alone you cannot do much. Otherwise, for people with the visual impairment, you can see they have become now, they can use anything. They can do anything. And one person told me, you know what? I can do anything in the computer except taking a photo or drawing. Only that. But all other things I can do. Why? Because of technology. And of course, we see the fourth industrial revolution is for everyone. We need inclusive strategy how to start now. Because fourth industrial revolution requires us to use ICT, technology enabled. How will it be done? And this is one of the evidence. These are the girls who participated in the coding camp, and they managed to code. The question, you can see what they raised. To cross the road safely in a smart city, we need a bus. And assume you are planning for a city planner, and there is no blind person in that particular area. Will you consider that one? You can see all areas, there are traffic lights. But this blind cannot see. Then they say, a smart city where a blind will be included. We need a bus so that we can use it effectively. Of course, you can see during COVID-19, these people were communicating. They had with their WhatsApp groups so that they can continue, whether blind or the deaf, they are communicating. Also, I think this, I think this is what I have talked to all of this. Barriers, those are the barriers. Always we have these barriers. And the only thing that, what is the conclusion, we are saying person with this sensory impairment can fully participate in self-advocating on issues related to politics, finance, any other issue. What hinders is less opportunity for ICT skills training. Otherwise, I thank you so much for listening to a person like me today. And I thank you so much for taking care of me. Thank you so much.